What's going on, guys? Danny here. I just want to go over my quick Bitcoin trade that I took this week. Today is October 31st. Happy Halloween. And let's get started. So we're on the 4 hour chart. I'm going to go back to, around here, right? And remove this. And let's get rid of this as well. All right. So what do we see here going into this week, right? We had an inside bar previous week. Didn't take out the previous high, didn't take out previous low, and we're pretty much just ranging, right? So what are we waiting for when this happens? We're waiting for either side to get engaged, which is pretty much this high. This is previous week's high, and once price did that on Monday earlier in the week, that's a good sign. And let's see how price reacted once we hit that. Also, once we hit this, we create an SMT as well. So I'm going to just, I'm going to do that as well. Hide some of these. So we create an SMT, excuse me, once we took out this liquidity pool here, which is previous week's high with Ethereum. I'm going to go to Ethereum just to see. Ethereum did not take out this high. So we will continue to look at price to see how it reacts. And then this is quite slow, but we'll continue waiting right here. This is when I was interested in shorts, right? So we engaged previous week's high. We had a 4 hour change in the stated delivery. I only trade the 4 hour and the weekly candle. So this was what I was looking for. And then we had this huge move down, creating these two fair value gaps here. So I'm going to go back to the shorts and we will continue waiting to see how price develops. So we drive into the fair value gap, and that's what we want to see. This reaction right here had another change in the state of delivery, this intercandle change in the state of delivery. Once we visited this fair value gap here at the midpoint, nice reaction and sell off here. So perfect timing. I was on Wednesday evening, I was anticipating entering this candle. I was anticipating this intercandle change in state of delivery, just because that's how I like to trade. This confirmations. Um, this initial one you can trade. You could probably take a trade up here once it hits this order block here. But I like to wait to see the reaction for it to create a new order block and trade away from that. So that's really high probability short trade. So let's put on the short position. I entered right before, maybe 20 minutes before this 4 hour candle closed. So I was anticipating it would close over since we're so deep, and I didn't want to miss a move. So I entered, and luckily entered at a really good spot, and price just moves down, right? So price had a huge move down on Thursday, came back up, and then immediately fell again, and took out this low here. Why was I targeting this low here? Well, it's quick 3R, right? And we are pretty much at previous week's low. And as you can see, once we tag that, it had a nice reaction higher. So if I continue forward, if I just exit replay, as you can see, price had a really nice reaction. I don't want to give back all my profits if this is a retracement for lower. That's okay. I'd rather take off 3R here and then wait for another trade setup to form. Just because we're in this humongous range, right? This was high probability because the fractal model framework calls for that. Took out liquidity, had SMT, had a nice 4 hour change in the state of delivery with an intercandle change in the state of delivery. And that's usually when I would enter for a move lower. So I'm going to post the screenshot Don't have it, I think. Can I post it here? Nope. As you can see, I took the short here. Entry price was around 111K. Exit price was around 107 right here, just shy of 3R. So that was my trade going into this week. That was a nice clean setup using the fractal model. I took the same trade on ETH as well, and I will show you here. But I did just close my trade once it kind of just retested my entry point and just let Bitcoin run. I didn't want to have like, ideally this was probably the better trade because we had these equal lows here, and I'm still wanting lower pricing on ETH as well as Bitcoin. I do, if we want to go higher, I do want these lows engaged before we go higher, just because we take out all this liquidity and then move higher. We have these equal highs up here as well that are super clean. But overall, the market's ranging, so just be careful. Here's Sol as well in this range, kind of untradeable, but had the same fractal model framework. Engage previous week's high, 4-hour change in the state of delivery. Really tight stop here, only less than 3% for a move lower, which I'm still anticipating on both ETH and Sol. And yeah, that's my trade overall. I hope you guys enjoyed that, and I'll catch you on the next one.